3 wards in Nashua, Hollis, Brookline, Mason, New Ipswich, and Ridge. I'm very proud to be here today to introduce the SMART Act. The SMART Act is legislation that will modernize our voter registration process, making it more secure and accurate, saving time and money. The Department of Motor Vehicles receives the bulk of the information needed for voter registration when people apply for a license or update their license. This information includes name, citizenship, mailing and physical address, date of birth. We will request the DMV to add a field for place of birth. The SMART Act requests a data transfer of the information from the DMV into ElectionNet, which is New Hampshire's central voter registration database. The Secretary of State will send a postcard to the voter, giving them the opportunity to declare a party or opt out. It will also give the name of their polling location. The completed postcard will then be sent to the city clerk or supervisor checklist to update the record in ElectionNet. The city clerk or supervisor of the checklist will review the information in ElectionNet and add the name to the checklist. The city clerk or supervisor of the checklist has the final authority. Modernizing our voter registration process will make transactions more secure, data file transfer, and more accurate by reducing errors and producing more accurate voting lists. It will save time on the part of voters and the city clerks and help to reduce lines on voting day. Ultimately, it will increase voter participation. The SMART Act does not replace same-day registration or the ability to go to your city clerk to register to vote. This is simply another avenue of registering voters. 15 states have enacted a form of automatic voter registration, and 28 states have passed legislation to implement a system. What are the costs of modernizing registration? In researching states that had enacted a similar system to the SMART Act, I interviewed secretaries of states, election managers, and DMV IT managers. I learned the cost for the implementation ran from $30,000 to $500,000. The only maintenance costs that were told to me were $1,000 per year, and that was from Oregon. The other states had no maintenance costs. 5 of the states collected data from the DMV, and 2 had online registration. Savings through automatic voter registration ran from $140,000 per year to $1 million per year. The areas where savings were found were in time saved, processing costs, going from paper to electronic, and data entry costs. And I do have some examples of 3 states that had realized savings, those being Oregon. They realized $140,000 in a year based on time saved. Arizona saved $5 million over 5 years. And Colorado reduced the need to hire temporary workers for application processing prior to elections. They also reduced the cost of applications 1/4 of what they would have spent previously. Also, when calculating savings for New Hampshire, we estimate, and this is a conservative estimate, we estimate the potential savings to be about $30,000. So eventually, the system should be able to pay for itself. We do have an amendment that was sent out, and this actually replaces the entire bill. I do want to speak to the fiscal note because the original bill had a fiscal note of $2.6 million, and I didn't feel that was in line with what we were actually doing. So the fiscal note is not accurate. It is based on the DMV registering voters at the DMV and processing real-time transactions to the voter checklist. And this is not what we're asking of the DMV. We're simply asking for a file transfer of data to election. There should be very minimal interaction. So there was misinterpretation of the process. And we are working closely with the DMV and the Secretary of State to update the fiscal note. As far as the funding is concerned, the intention was to use Help America Vote funds, HAVA funds, and the HAVA Act was enacted in 2002 to create funds that were designated to reform the voting process and to increase voter education and turnout. Its goals include the replacement of voting machines, voter registration reform, better access to voting for the disabled, and poll worker training. New Hampshire has existing HAVA funds. I don't know the exact amount of those funds, but we also received a grant for $3.1 million for an election security grant. This bill is slated to start in 2021. We don't want to interfere with the 2020 election. So we do have time to come up with the concept and have a program and all that is needed to make this work transparently. Several meetings were conducted with the DMV commissioners, the DOT IT department, the Deputy Secretary of State, and city clerks. I also had an opportunity to tour the HAVA office and see just how ElectionNet works for the city clerks, from the city clerk's perspective. The objective is to implement SMART without adding more burden to the DMV or to the city clerks, and not to use general funds when we have several $1 million of funds from HAVA. Having first-hand knowledge about the process by viewing ElectionNet, interviewing states, and having interviewing states that have implemented an automatic voter registration system and understanding their costs and savings, I feel that the SMART Act is a smart move for New Hampshire that creates a secure, modern, and accurate registration system. With our first in the nation primaries, improved election security and accessibility should be a top priority for our state. Members of the committee, I ask you to join me in supporting SB 7 and passing the SMART Act. Thank you. I do want to say that I gave you some handouts. I gave you a copy of a driver's license application from DMV that has the fields that we would be pulling information from. Also, you would have a chart that looks like this, and these are how different states use their HAVA funds. And you can see on this form that there's quite a few used for security. For those with voter registration, with what we're looking at, there's a number of states that have used it for voter registration as well. So having said that, are there any questions?
You said that you needed to add a field to the database,
Yes.
place of birth. What about place that you last voted or last registered to vote? That's one of the fields on the application form.
Yes, there is a way to capture that information by using cross-check, and if we go to Eric, it's going to give us information on where people voted last.
Is that going to be a field in the DMV database or not?
It will not be it will not need to be in the DMV database.
Using cross-check and the testimony from several of the people, since we don't have driver's license number for everyone in the database, we don't have social security numbers for everyone in the database, we don't even have date of birth for a lot of people in the database. It has certainly limited the usefulness of the cross-check. I failed to see, and I'm wondering if you tell me how you're going to correct all those problems that you had, rather than just simply asking the person at the DMV, where did you last vote?
Again, we don't want to put additional burden on the DMV. Other states have not as well. There is information that we gathered from the DMV that is critical to registering. There's also other pieces of information, as I mentioned, where did you last vote, that we can garner that information from a check with our existing database.
I've got many questions, Senator, right?
Go ahead.
Again, if I have 15 James Graves, and I think I'm being conservative in the database, and I'm saying that I moved, okay? It would seem that if you try to go in and figure out which one it is, okay? Especially since I'm a voter who has been registered for a long time, so when I registered, I didn't have to give any of the things.
Is there a question?
Well, and that's what the next word's gonna be. How can you say that I can go in and it's simple to figure out which James Gray I am?
Well, thank you for your question, Senator Gray. There are other identifiers, for example, middle name, there is date of birth, and if, there is date of birth, there is place of birth that will be included. And might I say that we have examples from at least 15 states who have actually done this. So we can check in with them to see how they make that transition.
Well,
Senator,
the information that you said that you had from several states, are those states that have same-day registration and do not use motor voter, are not subject to motor voter?
Well, those are states that use the data given to them from the DMV, downloaded into their election databases. So I just want to clarify, I'm glad that you said motor voter, because there are some very big differences between what we're doing and motor voter. First of all, motor voter requires that the DMV or any other organization actually do the registrations there. It also allows for mailing in your registration, as well as other third parties can collect registrations. We are talking about data transfers.
Senator Olive.
Without knowing which states that you looked at and which states have motor voter, then how am I to interpret that these 15 states, I think was the number you used, it's just as simple for us to go do this as it was in those 15 states. They may have had motor voter.
Well, we have other people that would be willing to testify as well. But, you know, we're doing something that is new for New Hampshire. It's not rocket science because we're transferring data files. So I don't want to muddy the waters with motor voter. We're talking about a file transfer of data. And we're talking about cross-checking information with other systems. And there will be some research that has to be done by our city clerks. But we have other ways of filtering out that information.
Follow-up?
Moving on to a different topic, you talked about the finance report, financial note, and it does say $2.638 million in the first year, and then ongoing cost of starting out at 1.2, almost 1.3 million, and continuing to 1.4 million. Which of those items, and again, I just got your amendment for this meeting, which of those items are no longer applicable?
I would say most of those items, if we look at the, I don't have that list in front of me, but just looking at the personnel, the requirement was for, well, not the requirement, but the fiscal note said that we would need 18 people at the DMV, and it said that the DMV folks would be checking the checklist. That is not the case. We are not asking people at the DMV to actually register people and tell them where they should vote. So that number is not accurate, and they understand that now because we've had discussions. Also, when you talk about the cost for programming to do real-time checking is very different than programming for downloading information and sending it over to another database. So, there's work to do there. There's some other areas that really need to be pared back, but it really needs to be reworked on the fiscal note, and there was a misunderstanding about what their role would be.
Going up from the bottom, on the list it says printed material. Does your amendment still have the printed material required for both of the DMV and the Secretary of State?
The printed material is not in the actual amendment, it's not specified. There's a number of ways that we could do this. If there was no interaction with DMV, except for turning in your application, I would say that it would be helpful to have printed material available to answer questions. If the DMV does require more people to help implement this, then I would say that the literature would be less needed. And I might also add that I think the literature number is quite high. As I looked for the literature that I needed when I ran my campaign, I would cut that in half. I think that's very high.
Your testimony is that I don't need more new people at the DMV, but then in this one you said that I'm going to use the people at the DMV to explain this process to them. Would you believe that I already get complaints about the long lines and wait times at the DMV to do the functions that they're charged with now?
I
We
agree with
can,
that.
we can have.
The
Oh,
the testimony,
yeah,
I was trying to speak to you, Mr. Chairman. You just ruled on a point of order, and I'm trying to discuss that point of order you just ruled. And I believe that the testimony for the witness is that the fiscal note is no longer applicable because of the charter bill. And since I have not had the opportunity prior to this hearing to do that, and won't have the opportunity to investigate with this witness what is going on, this is my only opportunity, and to try and stifle my testimony. It seems that it is not in the New Hampshire way.
Very much in the New Hampshire way. I'm not trying to stifle your testimony. I'm trying to keep us on point. So she will answer the question, so let's.
To try and do this a little quicker, I believe that she is in error, that the printed material is still required, that the software upgrades of $600,000 would not only include the date of birth in that database, place of birth, it should also include the place that they last voted, that the additional staff, because of the long wait lines.
Why don't we wait till we see the fiscal note, and then we'll know, and we can discuss that in executive session. But if you can answer the question.
So I will say that the fiscal note is definitely in error because of the expectations. Apparently were misunderstood that we are not looking for the DMV to register people. They would have minimum conversations about registering people to vote. However, I am sensitive to the fact that every question that's asked takes up time. So we may hear something back from the DMV requesting more people, but 18 people is not an accurate number. So, having said that,
Are there any more questions? Sir, Senator.
Senator, thank you very much for bringing this bill forward. I think it's an incredibly important bill to help move us in the direction of helping voters become registered. Could you tell me about how many meetings you've had with departments of motor vehicles, secretaries of states, IT groups? sounds as though you've kind of gone above and beyond with the bill.
Thank you for the question. I think really understanding this process is really critical and bringing all the stakeholders in. So we originally met with the Secretary of State, the DMV, the Department of Transportation, IT Department, by Fitch, Senator Gray, but also having subsequent meetings with both the DMV and the Secretary of State. I also interviewed personally several, as mentioned before, several states to understand what their process was, easily it was adopted, what were the maintenance costs, what was the cost. And in addition, talking with city clerks, we had a conference call with city clerks, and also having one-on-ones with my city clerk and supervisor of the checklist. So I've done a lot of research on this and want to be sure that all the stakeholders are involved here.
Could you just speak to the end goal that we're trying to achieve and what the specific objective is that this bill seeks to address?
Well, the goal is to streamline the process. It's to save time for voters going to the city clerk to register, for city clerks re-entering data before and after the election, to get more people into the voting process. So it's a multifaceted goal that we have here, and it's really going to help streamline the process for New Hampshire and put us, into the 21st century, modernize our systems.
You had mentioned in your testimony that there is a conservative cost savings of about $30,000 for the state. How did you arrive at that number?
Well, we came about that number largely through time saved for city clerks and supervisors of the checklist. I do have backup for that as well, but it's conservative. It's very hard to make a true estimate when, we actually have not been monitoring it.
So the cost savings from what I'm understanding, are really property tax savings for local property taxpayers, since the cost savings are going to be done at the municipal local level. Is that accurate?
Well, ultimately, it will cost less to have additional help, in the elections, and everything rolls down to our property taxpayers.
And could you just go over one more time for me the specific assumptions that needed to be corrected on the DMV side in regards to that miscommunication and how that fiscal note was arrived at?
I think one of the big issues is when people talk about motor voter. The big thing about motor voter is it's having the DMVs, or Health and Human Services, to actually register people to vote, to ask them what party they want to declare themselves to. This is time consuming. This is not what we are asking to do. We are asking for a data download of the information that is filled out on this form, this application form. So to download that data into ElectionNet, and then there will be some parsing of data, have they been registered before, etc. I don't want to get too much into the weeds, but I think that's what the misunderstanding was, as well as real-time transactions, asking them to check the checklist. No, we would never do that, because that is just the responsibility of the supervisor of the checklist. So that was a misunderstanding. When it comes to programming, the programming would be a lot more complex if you're checking transactions real time. Again, we're asking for a download. So, in a nutshell, I think that was a misunderstanding. And I will say that the concerns were brought up to me about, you don't want to spend a lot more time at DMV. You don't want to take up time for the supervisor of the checklist. So I was off getting answers to all these questions. And what I needed to do is go back to the DMV and say, hey, I got the answers. So, unfortunately, I'll take responsibility for that as well. But I think that we've ironed it out, we understand that we're looking for a data transfer.
One of the concerns, my friend Senator Gray raised, did strike a chord with me as well. The identifying specific individuals would, and I did note that both on the New Hampshire voter registration form and obviously our driver's license from the DMV would both have our driver's license numbers on it. Would it be possible to use the driver's license numbers to transmit that to ElectionNet as well for deduplication efforts?
I think we're gonna have to look at the deduplication efforts. I'm not sure that it would be prudent to transfer the driver's license number, because as Senator Gray said, it's not in the system already. And I don't wanna be over prescriptive here. We're going to have the folks that are doing the programming. Hopefully they'll talk to people who have done this before, and we're gonna be able to work through those duplication issues.
Further questions? Thank you, Senator.